sublime music. Where's the music? Let's turn the music off. Let's turn this music off. Ready, stop. This boost got a little taste of the music. Hopefully that's not enough to get me muted. This is officially the official stream for the Beginner Boost 2021, day 8. Yeah, so we went over by 20 minutes, but we didn't get started till like 10 minutes after. I know you guys don't like waiting and stuff, but let me just make sure the stream is back up. Good evening, everyone. In fact, let me let's do something else here. There we go. Banner, there it is. Does anybody have any questions from homework before we get going? How about we do that? We start with like a 5-minute break so we can answer the questions for the homework from people. So if you want to come here early because you have a question, I noticed that this problem happened last time. So, and also there's an echo. The echo was from listening to my speakers. We've been jamming all day. So what I was trying to say is that there's a pretty fair number of people who had questions after the fact, and they sent them in whispers and different things. And then there's people who had questions, like general questions. And so I don't know. Let's. I mean, if you have, I know it's kind of early and people are scared because they know they're going to be on YouTube and everything. Just so you know, this video is going to go on YouTube eventually. This one will be on YouTube tomorrow. You can always watch the VODs immediately after the day they finish. But so we have a lot to do today. We have a lot to do every day. But I just want to put that out there. If anybody has any specific questions, you can go ahead and ask. I'm going to refresh my screen here because I still show 0 viewers, which is sad. I'm okay with it though. We got 22 of them back, so that means 21 of them were just hanging out. That's fine. I don't mind if they're bots or whatever they are, if they just want to come hang out. But I would, we did that so that people could get notified. Oh, YGBSM, thanks for the sub. I wish I could notify people online on the stream. I'll probably have to do that at some point. The stream just barely showed up for you. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, I mean that's kind of the hard part about going down and then coming back up. Let's go pull in the material for today. Boost and TeamWorks in. I don't know if you noticed, but we made the screen bigger. So if that's a problem for anybody, for most people have liked it so far. But if anybody else has any problem with the screen size, in case you're wondering, it is 79 by 14. It's a tiny little space. But, most of the stuff that we're doing today is, sort of like on the whiteboard kind of thing. And I noticed that you can even read this like from your phone, like pretty far away. So that's the idea. And this is actually what I used to do. It was a good reminder. Hi, how's it going, Yvonne? That this is what we used to do when I would teach at SkillStack in a big room on the 60-inch television. You could see from the back room. Feeling that Zettelcast, the method I am building my own knowledge bubble. As someone interested in sharing Zettles, I definitely want to start sharing Zettles. When you do that, I think the start of that is for you. We don't have to get really fancy with that. If you're following that same method and you're using GitHub, I know a lot of other people may not be using GitHub yet, but when we start to use GitHub, all you really have to do is make a Zettel or a file in there that has links to everybody else's Zettles. Yeah, and then you can make your own search indexes that go to all the people that are there, and you're very close to creating the knowledge exchange grid, the KEG, just from that alone. And that's something that we're gonna eventually get to in the off season. The off season meaning when the boost is not on. Somebody asked me today how many days the boost was going to go, and I said at least 100. So, I mean, we got a lot of stuff to cover. We keep adding more stuff to it as we go. Intermission ZK is very different from the mainstream. You like the older setting. I don't know what you're talking about there. It depends. It depends on what you consider mainstream. So, I mean, I'm doing exactly what Lumen did. So I'm just using, you know. So it depends on whose interpretation you're reading. Unless you have something specific. If something specific, please let me know the specific thing that I'm doing different than what Lumen did. And then we can take that, because I'm very interested in that topic if you want to know about that. As for me, for right now, I'm just doing the first part of the Zettelkasten, which is just storing the data on slip boxes, period, with unique identifier, and that's the main thing. And including on pieces of paper. Now, I don't go through and review them very well, and I don't maintain my register very well because it is searchable, so that's probably fair. Obsidian is not Zettelkasten. Yeah, they have communities, but none of them are actually Zettelkasten. Nope. You can do that. Have fun. But they are not Zettelkasten. No, they're not. I can prove it overwhelmingly. I have so many specific instances where Obsidian and the archive are not using the Zettelkasten method. They're using what they claim is their Zettelkasten method, so they're just interpreting it, and they have a big community, and that's all nice and everything. But they're not down to, they don't even use the right unique identifiers. They have their own made up thing that you can't even use unless you have a computer. No, the Zettelkasten.de is complete BS. It's complete BS. And there's actually a German professor who calls out the problems with the Zettelkasten.de edition. So we're not gonna fight about that right now. I'm going to tell you what I told you about the original Zettelkasten method. Read Lumen's own words at where is it? Was it lumen.surge.sh? The discussions about it. Yeah, that's probably good. Thank you. Yeah, that's probably true. It probably has a really great lively discussion, and it's got a lot of academics in there, which means there's going to be a lot of academic debate about what is the right way to do it, what's not. At the end of the day, it's whatever works for you. Bottom line, that worked for Lumen. There's nothing that says it's the gospel and you have to do it that way. I took my pieces of it that were very valuable, and they've already unleashed a bunch of knowledge management issues for me that I just was really worrying about before. I'm really happy about. And I believe I'm following in Lumen's tradition as close as possible by keeping mine consistent with paper. All the other tools that are out there. This is, by the way, a reference to the earlier Zettelkasten video, I think, which we did like this day 2 or 3 or something like that. So if you want to go back and study that, you can understand where these questions and stuff are coming. It's good that the questions are coming up now, though, because it sounds like you guys have had a while to be practicing it. But not in the name file. Yeah. But yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's however you want to do it. It really is. I mean, the unique identifier for each individual sittle. Is that right? I've been getting flack for saying it wrong. So that's not particularly important. So you can use whatever you want for that identifier. Literally, he can use it. He had his own categorical way of doing it, but it was really designed to just be random. So I think that, yeah, what you name it is important. I think the best thing of all is the flattening of the data. That is probably the flattening and the shorter pieces of data, forcing you to think in terms of one sittle, which is no more than 25 lines or so, and digitally if you're going to do it that way. That was actually really groundbreaking because it forced you to keep that thought specific. And if you needed to expand on that thought, how could you have an angle on the thought that's slightly different for a different sittle? Yeah. Start my Zit repo and your Git method, but it is in Spanish and I am fluent for quick ideas. Maybe I should make an English one for share. Yeah, it's however you want. It's a personal knowledge base above all. The ability to share it is all nice and everything, but the way that Lumen shared everything from his is he wrote published works from it after the fact. How's it going, Brillin? I say that right? Okay, so there you go. Let's actually jump in. I have a problem with my chat interface right now. Well, I've been messing with all kinds of stuff. I'm always breaking stuff on my stuff because classes in the math department. Nice. Beginner boost. All right, so we are on day 8. And we'll see what this goes. We have a lot to do. In fact, I put this reminder here. I'm gonna read that reminder, and I'm actually gonna review everything from day 7 again. Don't groan. Let me turn you guys off for a bit. And maybe I can keep one line of you out. It's gonna be harder to adjust to this new size. So I just want you to know I really fleshed out day 7. And so it's actually it reads a little bit better. Let me actually open it so you can see what it looks like drawn out. So here it is. And then here's a beginner boost. There's your web version of it. I mean, I know you guys like your web version. So, but I just want to put it down here because day 7 has got a lot of data in it. It's got a lot. And I put some lines in between there. I'm trying to put a line between everyone that's got a video. It's just rough. This is a really rough outline for now, and then I'll come back and clean it up. But there's a lot of stuff here on day 7. So I'm just going to zoom through the day 7 list and make sure that you got everything. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to zoom through it. It's going to take us about 10 minutes. So let's set my pomo. I don't want to go over 10 minutes because I got lots of new stuff to cover. But I realized as I was going through it that there was a number of things that belong on day 7 that we didn't cover, and so it just made more sense to put them there. So I'd like to review them so we can kind of keep the chronology working and all that. All right, so let's see. Yeah, what should we do? Should we do Pomo 10 minutes? Oopsie, there are 10 minutes. Fine. I thought I'd fix that. Oh well. All right, so I'm gonna keep me on this. So we talked about the book. The takeaway from the book, main takeaway is don't do the shell section. We're gonna do POSIX shell. So wait, okay? You can do it after the POSIX shell because then you'll get confused. Command line, fastest human computer interface, covered that. Every command line entered is a line of shell code. Showed you about that. Use bash. Don't play the shell game. There's a bunch of shells out there you can use. Interactive shells, it really doesn't matter. Start with bash as an interactive shell because it's the default, and then come back to it and do whatever you want. If you want to use fish or Z shell or whatever, great. Just learn bash as the interactive shell first. Make sure you understand tab completion on bash and how to set it up. How to use it. Hit tab to see what's there. Okay, we talked about the parts of the prompt, the username, the host name. We talked about, I didn't mention this, but I did want to just mention that the username @host, just something I missed yesterday, so let me do it again. So if you run Ubuntu, so you have username @Ubuntu, and I just want to mention that's the origin of email. If it looks like email, that's because that's where email came from. In fact, what they did is this used to be the name of a computer, so you'd have like root at MIT, and then you'd have root at Harvard or something or whatever, or whatever your username was, and this was the name of the machine, and then they think, well, we got to group all those machines into a domain, and the domain, like say for a university or something, right? So then they decided to give them a domain. So Ubuntu, so host.berkeley.edu, and so they added the domains on at the end. And the domains that came on the end, that was when the domain authority got made, the DNS that you know and love, and that's where email came from. So I just thought I'd mention that. Okay, so current directory, the branch of Git for Git commits, long versus short prompts, blah blah blah. Navigate your command history. Okay, we did not talk about history navigation at all, other than up and down arrows yesterday, and I think it's important to keep you at that level for now. There's a couple little really quick things that I skipped over really quick that I wanted to show. So one of them is, let me get Ubuntu back here. Fine. Ubuntu. How about Ubuntu? So one of them is that so when you type ls and you push the up arrow, you can go get your ls command you type, right? You type man ls. You can go back up. There's no man pages, but you can go up and down, arrows. Oh, wait, I got to turn my arrows on. There's my, I put the arrow keys. I put the keys. This can be weird, but the keys are up at the top now because we ran out of space. So hopefully that's fine. But if it's not, let me know. So now I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And as you can see, it remembers. Now it tops out and there's no more. I can go up as many times as I want. Nothing's going to happen. But so here's the cool thing. If you want to add, I don't know why, but sometimes you don't want stuff in your history. So like, for example, I don't know why you would do this, but if you ever wanted to put a password like, foo, dash, I mean, there is some stupid stuff out there that still requires you to put your password in the command line, like type it out, my pass. There's really stupid applications out there that might have you do that. If they had you do that, there's no foo command, but see, the foo command is now still there, and anybody who can see this history file can see what was there. So that's one reason you would not want people to see your history. Another one is you just might not want people to see what you're doing now. And if you want to do that, you can do that. So you can say space, or even just one space, not in history. And there's no command called that, but now it's not in the history. That's really important. You're going to find yourself wanting to, I mean, you don't need to get crazy with your history. Raritan, is he here? Probably not, but he's gone through this. But he's obsessed with managing his history file. I'm kind of bagging on him a little bit. He just joined. I remember last year, you and I, we talked a lot, and you were all about managing your history file and counting how many things are in your history file and cleaning out redundancies in your history file. He's very, very, studious steward of his his history. So, but I just wanted to show you. So it's basically like the incognito for history. It's fine, Raren. It's totally fine. He loves efficiencies and everything. So you type this, it gets written down. You type space, you like this, it does not get written down. So putting a couple spaces in front of your command is like the incognito of history. That's all. Probably too much time on that, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Another one I did mention, but I want to mention it again. So if you're on a system like mine, where if I run top, I get htop. But if I wanted to run the actual command, not the one that's been taken over, so as you can see, top is an alias. That means it's kind of a shortcut. It's something that is, every time I type the letters TOP, it actually runs htop. If I want to do the real thing, and I actually learned this on stream in 2019, somebody showed me about this. I never used it before. So you put a slash in front, and when you do that, that automatically says, I will disengage any aliases or functions or any other things that might cause it to overlay, and I want to use the actual top that is in the system. And this brings me to another thing. This brings me to another thing that I did not cover, called which. So which top will show you what the character is, and what the command is where. And I think, did we do which here? htop. I think I don't know if we did which here or not. Let me go see if we did which here. I'm gonna put which here. So which is one, and there's another one called type. And these so these could go many different places. I actually have them referenced some most places, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it right now. So which top tells you which top is running, and that means which top in your path. We haven't talked about the path yet, but that's actually what's happening. If you do type top, type top is usually what you want instead of which. Type top tells you what thing would be executed from the command line, which tells you what thing is your path. And we're gonna hit that again later. But since we talked about backslash, we can do that. I might have to just move this hint to the path. Under custom overwritten aliases, right? Not on the path. Things from the current directory not on the path. That's different. That's dot slash. 7a shell escape. Did you find it? Okay. Yeah, those numbers are going to change, so don't quote me on that. In fact, I don't even know if that actually goes there. I think the better place to put that is probably with the path. And we don't have that yet. Where do we talk about path? We should be talking about path. I don't know where we should talk about path, or should we talk about path people? Is this a system administration thing? That's more of a programmer thing, like a customized the shell sort of thing. I don't know. I'm gonna put it down here and I'll organize it later. I don't know if it goes here or not. Understand the path. It's more about, it's kind of a coder thing to talk about. That's why I feel like we shouldn't even talk about it until we do our first day of scripting, because, it kind of goes with that. I'm not typing very well today. Where's our shell scripting day? We don't have an official video started yet, so nobody worry about this. Your commands are code shell scripts. Basic shell scripting, there we go. So yeah. Which and type. All right, so there we go. There we go. Day 8. We're going back to day 7. Okay, so understand the parts that probably did that, and parts of the command probably did that. Navigate command history effectively, we did that. Use hashtags. So this is just a tiny stupid thing, but I do this all the time when I'm working with people. I sometimes do it for myself, so I just want to mention it. These are the little things that someone's not going to tell you in a book. So I figured I'd go ahead and say it. Sometimes I'll be doing something, and when I don't have a notepad or something like that, I'll say, remember to whatever, right? Or I can even say to do, to do whatever, to do something. There's so many better ways to do that. But if you put a hashtag in front of it, it keeps it as a comment. So when you're sharing a TMUX session with somebody, like a lot of times when I'm sharing a TMUX session with somebody that I'm mentoring, they're trying to figure out what is their current assignment, what things do they need to do. And all they have to do is go up in their history a couple lines, and they can see what the line was that they're working on. And I know there's better ways to have a separate file and blah, 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 but there's something really nice about having it just right in your history, having a comment in your history. And people think it's crazy to have a comment in your history, but I think it's actually really useful. You can actually leave little notes to yourself to remind yourself what you were on that are just going to go away. They'll be thrown out with history. And you could, if you wanted to, you could, when you exit the shell, you could make it so that they don't stick around at all. But, or you could just delete them. You can actually, I think you can just delete them. Yep. Now it's gone. See it? Now it's gone. Because your history is just a VI file, and we're going to get to that later. But honestly, your history is it's just as if it was a big text file, and you're just navigating around in the text file. And that way you can leave yourself little things in your history. Okay. So I just want to show you that. It's a fun little trick. You'll see people doing that all the time online. Like when they're giving a demonstration of how to do something and they don't want to speak, they'll use that to type text on the terminal without it freaking out, right? Because it's a comment, so it just ignores everything. There should be a way to save the history. It already does save. The history does save. The history saves automatically by default, I think. We're going to talk about that in customization. But my history saves. My history doesn't only save, it saves across all sessions by doing some magic in the prompt command, so that everybody gets the same history. Some people don't like that. They want history for each given one. I actually have gone back and taken it out at some point because I want a different history for each screen. For that reason, I want to put comments in there or something. But once you exit it out, once you exit the whole session, that history will be saved to disk. And we're gonna revisit history when we talk about configuring history, which I don't know. We have to go through VI first because it's all requiring you to edit stuff. We got to hit that, and that's quite a ways away even for tonight. So hopefully we can get to VI tonight. I really want to. And don't. Okay, so right here I have a note. I'm just gonna repeat this note. Don't learn don't learn anything else with a history right now. So if somebody tells you about some command to go do something through the history and all that, that's fine. But just, and I have no problem with you doing that, but just know that at some point, the Control L thing and everything, just know that you're going to be making a more informed decision later. So listen to that's fine, but just for now, don't overly stress about that. Send special terminal escapes. Okay, so this we totally skipped. We covered doing the escape and the control stuff, but we did not cover suspending the terminal, and it's super duper important that we cover this before we do anything else. All right, so I want you to make sure you have your terminal up, everybody, and we're gonna go ahead and test this. And I'm gonna actually make a video about this. So send special escapes. I'll just put unblock your terminal. Oh, that's cool. It just kind of finishes it out there in a different color. Didn't notice that. All right. So, okay, here comes a video really quick. A video coming at you. A 10-minute video, it looks like, coming at you. Did the stream marker take? I can't tell. Did it actually take? Usually it tells me if it took. Did it make a stream marker? Why is it telling me? Okay, there we go. We got a stream marker. Okay. So, unblock your terminal with special escapes. So, the section we're on now is really on terminal escapes. I covered this yesterday a little bit, but I'm going to do it really quickly and succinctly this time. So, if you are writing, you're just, la-di-da, like editing a file. And this is going to become more important as we do editing, but it can hit you anywhere. So just want to show you that. So let's say I'm editing a file, right? And all of a sudden, lo and behold, I hit something on accident and my terminal stops working. Actually, to prove it to you, let me, I have to undo it now. Damn it. Where is it? All right, there we go. Oh, damn. Okay. Shoot, I really killed my thing. All right. So I got to turn the keys on so you can see. All right. So I'm pretend I'm like editing a file. I'm editing. And then what? Along comes this. Everybody does this. Everybody does this. I didn't know how to unsuspend myself until my 30s. I swear to God. I was deleting my terminal and turning it off and doing all the things that you don't necessarily need to do because there was no real easy way to look it up. So this is how you should do it. And we're going to talk about why this is relevant. So what has happened if you're going like this and you're like editing really fast because you're hacking or you're writing really fast code like some of these people that are much faster than me, right? And all of a sudden, boom. All of a sudden, boom. Yeah. It's not doing anything, right? It actually is doing something. See all that stuff I'm typing over there? It's buffering it. It's buffering it. And it's getting ready to type it. You know why? Because, control file controls kill your terminal. That's what people do, but that is not how to do this. Okay, so there's perils ahead, though. Because, so here's the thing. Look at all that buffer, man. Okay, so first of all, the reason this happens is because you remember the good old teletype we talked about in the other video? That's all you're doing. A terminal is just a teletype emulator at the end of the day. And back in the days of teletype, there would be more data coming in than the teletype could type out. And so because it couldn't tap it out, because it couldn't tap it out, what? A status bar and the Poma timer are not in sync. What? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so you can't type anything because it's buffering it. It's like, okay, teletype. Now, and then the teletype would send another signal and say, all right, I am ready for more data now. You can send it to me. And so then it would send this. Watch. It would send this. Control is going to look really ugly. Control Q. And that unbuffers. I mean, that unsuspends. All right. So Control S suspends. And 9 times out of 10, Control S is not hard to hit. I mean, come on. It's not hard to hit. You're hitting Control for other things. So Control S is pretty dang easy to hit on accident. And then the way to undo it is just put Control Q. However, you have to know that I disable suspension. That's a great idea. How do you do it? I don't know. How do you do that? How did you do that? Did you remap your keyboard or something? That's a great idea if you want to learn how to do it. So Raritan, the king of like minutia and all things in between. Console emulator settings. Okay. I didn't know I could. Let's go see if we can. I don't know. Let's see if we can do it right now. This is actually a useful video since you guys know more than me. Scroll keyboard, scroll output. I do not do scrolling. I hate it. Run command is login shell. No. Preserve working directory on command exit terminal compatibility. Delete key generates escape key. That actually used to be a problem. You used to have to set that with the STTY. We don't have to do that anymore. W software Windows F press control S very yeah. Make a change. It's Pioneer muscle memory. I know. And so you're like, that's why I wanted to go over this. So you turn this in. I don't see a problem. I mean, this is GNOME terminal, so it's not as fancy. So that's what's going on, just so you know, so you don't think you're going crazy. I swear, when that happens, I would just lose my. So I would like close. If you don't want to do that, you can actually kill the terminal, the tmux pane in a number of the ways. You can shut your terminal down. You can throw your computer out the window and buy a new one. Whatever you have to do to get your terminal back, but it's easier to just do Control Q. That's really it. So while we're at it, let's talk about some of the other escape sequences. Okay. Yeah, STD on. Does that turn it off? Does that turn disable off? Let me try it. STDY dash hard reset. Yeah. X on. Does it? Yes, it does. It turns off Control S. Let's see here. Oh, sure enough. Look at that. Actually. Yeah, it did. That's cool because it actually started using S for something else. However, what did I say? Damn it. That's me. I don't do that. I forget what I was going to say. I'm very eccentric. So that's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on to the next thing. So there are a number of other terminal escapes that you can send. Has anybody been going crazy with terminal bells on? Let me help you turn that on. These are all things that we forgot to cover. End of transmission. Control D is end of transmission. Yeah, I knew that one. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. So Control D is how you end something that's waiting on more data. I might as well cover it again. So if you're like doing Python coding in Python 2, print hello friend. And stuff, right? And you try to like Control C and get out of that. Can't do it. We talked about interrupt, right? Control C is an interrupt. That's all. It's not escape. It's interrupt. And you need to leave it interrupt. But if you want to say, no, I'm done sending you data, I promise. Control D for data. End of data. End of file, but end of data. Help you remember that. And that'll send you to that. And that goes for lots of things that might wait on data, including the chat. So like if I were to do like that would start up, all these things that it'll send to the chat. And then I've got a problem right now, and then I do a Control D and it'll end it. Send end to end. I mean, it sends an end of file character or end of whatever. All right. So we've covered a number of things here. Let's see if I missed anything. So Control C. Okay. So the bells. We're talking about bells. The bells for whom the bell tolls. This is particularly annoying by Microsoft Windows Terminal. Microsoft Windows Terminal has the bells on by default. And anybody who's had bells on who uses like anything, like you go off the end or you backspace too far and it'll send a bell to drive you nuts. So you might want to go turn that off. That's right here. Let me give you an idea of what this sounds like. Can you even hear mine? I can't even hear it. I can't hear mine. Is it doing it? I must have turned mine off. I did. You know what? I turned mine off. I turned all sound effects for something off because. Anyway, you can go turn it. You can go know yourself if you want to do that. I don't. I don't want bells on. You can actually set a visual bell. In the PC speaker beep. Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool when that existed once upon a time long ago. I've got cursor shaped block with blinking on. Anyway, back to our escapes. Let's go back to our escapes and we'll end this video. Only 1 minute left. That's a 20-minute video. Wow. Holy cow. All right. Control Z. Oh, okay. Damn. We're going to do all of those on their own video. Okay. We're going to do all of those in their own video. So we're going to end this video now. Add stream marker. This stuff really needs to be covered, and I totally missed the boat yesterday. So I'm not even going to take a break. I'm just going to jump right into it. Disable Control S in the shell. It's forward search in history, reverse Control R. Yeah, I've never used that. I never would use it. That's also Emacs mode. Yeah, that's Emacs mode. That's, you know what? I've never seen it before because I've always had Control S be what it was. So that's the first time I've seen forward search in Emacs mode in my life because I've never disabled Control S. So lots of things to learn here. I'm learning new stuff all the time. Let's see. Is the show key -A to show which key is being sent bound for your terminal emulator? Different for me. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Let's see. So let's jump right into the next video. So where's my unblock the thing here? So we'll do T, enter, and then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say background and foreground. Did I spell that right? Is that how it's spelled? Does foreground have an E in it? Please tell me it does. It does, right? The Control V and Control X, we're going to cover that. So background and foreground. Let's do background and foreground first. Control X and Control V don't do anything. That's what I was trying. The only thing I'm saying there is don't use them. They're not the same as Windows. They don't do anything unless they've been mapped to do other stuff. Control V and VI does something, but we won't get to that for right now. They actually, I think Control X does something in VI too, but in general, Control X and Control V are not what you expect. We're gonna do process control, background and foreground, running programs. All right, so sigh. I've got to get better with my keyboard thingy. All right, so ready, start video. Start another video. All right, so something that I missed again yesterday when we were talking about terminals and stuff, largely because I don't know where to put it, is backgrounding and foregrounding running programs. Now, this is the kind of thing that obviously we're going to talk about it when we start getting into scripting. In fact, in general, a lot of this Linux stuff is tough to organize because it's already involving programming from the first day. Because as I said, every single command you enter is a command. It's like you're running an interactive program every time you run a command. And so any one of those programs that you're running on the command line, a command is a program, generally speaking, can be manipulated as if it were a program. And a running program, another word for a running program, is a process. We talked about that when we talked about containers and the comparison between running programs and containers. And so what does it mean to background and foreground your programs? Now, the reason I talk about this so early on and at the same time that we talk about terminal escape sequences and stuff like that is because that's when you're most likely to encounter it. In fact, I've seen people do this all the time. What they'll do is they'll be doing something, anything that takes time. So this, okay, right? So this is top. It's showing me all my processes and everything, right? And if you're a beginner, you're coming out here and you're like, I don't know what to do. And every single program exits differently. And so a lot of times beginners, this is why I'm talking about it now. Beginners will experiment. They will experiment with what has to be done. And so like, I don't know what to press. Well, if they'd pressed Q, they'd learn that just quits this one, right? But let's say they didn't know that. And then they would type Control C. Does that stop it? Oh, okay, that stopped it just fine, right? But maybe they don't even know that, and maybe Control C has been interrupted, has been trapped. And by the way, this is one of the reasons you shouldn't mess with Control C interrupts for anything else. Don't try to remap it to escape or anything, because it's actually needed for a lot of very important things. And one of those things is interrupt. And so interrupt is like when you want something that's running, you want to interrupt it. Well, sometimes you want to trap that interrupt, and we'll do this in our coding sessions, and do something else like finalize some resources or something, and then shut down. But a lot of times when a beginner comes along, they might think, Control Z, and so they might press hi Crunchy. We're in the middle of a video, but so we do Control C, Control Z, and you'd be like, oh, right, and they're like, oh, see, it worked. But it didn't work, did it? And every time this happens, I get pulled into a huge conversation about backgrounding and foregrounding processes. And so we might as well have that conversation now so you can understand it. We talked about with running HTOP, you saw all that stuff on my computer that's all running. Those are all the running active processes that are using up memory and CPU at a time. And they're running. And they are in different states. Obviously, they can't run all at the same time, so they're in different states. They communicate with each other. Sometimes they're paused, sometimes they're foregrounded, sometimes they're backgrounded. So anything that's in the terminal that you're interacting with, that's in the foreground. So your terminal is your foreground. Yeah, and you figured it out. So when somebody accidentally does that, I've had people do this. I kid you not. Usually it's not with HTOP. Usually it's with the VI session. So here's why they do this. So with VI, and we're gonna talk this again. I told you it's hard to know when to talk about stuff. So here's a VI session, right? Well, one of the ways to exit VI, which we haven't talked about yet, is Shift ZZ, right? But if they didn't hear all of that, they might think Control Z is the way to do it. And this is why I hate Nano. Nano and Emacs, Nano, which comes on everything by default, encourages beginners not to Control Z, but it encourages them to use control keys. Right? So instead of doing the VI keys as God intended, they do a bunch of weird things. So, and it turns out that the exiting Nano is Control X. Right? I told you Control X doesn't do anything. Well, it does in Nano, right? One of the reasons I don't like Nano, and I think that the people who made it the default didn't think it through when it comes to a beginner. And I have seen this with dozens of beginners that I've had over, 500-600 people over 8 years. And inevitably, what they always do when they get it, the first time they've been so used, if they've used Nano at all, they know that Control X is a thing, and then they do their first Vim session and they make that XKCD comic come true, and now they can't get out of it, right? Because they can't remember. But they were using Nano before, and so they're like, well, let's see, it was Control X, right? Well, Control X doesn't do anything. It says, Mr. Rob says something about Z, so let me try Control Z. Yeah. Now, here's what else they do. So now they're going to make more changes to their code. Okay. They're making more changes to their code. And then they're like, oh, Control Z that one. Oopsie. Control Z. Okay. Now they're going to do another one. Dude, I know you guys don't think this is true. I have seen this happen at least 100 times, at least. And now they're Control Z. Now what have they got? They haven't stopped. They haven't actually exited anything. They've actually, all of that stuff, yeah, so they've got the keys too. That's true. Nano does tell you what stuff happens on the screen. That's a fair point. So then you're like playing around here and you don't know what's going on. And then I say, oh my god, and it's like you come to them, and then the problem is they actually start losing. They start losing code. I agree. And actually, I'm going to say this again: HTTPS rdbx.gg/vi survive. It's like survive. I think like the 5 or 6 commands you have to know to do VI with the arrow keys. But the point I'm trying to make is that now you run jobs, and now you see that now you have 255 tasks. Look at all these stop jobs, and they're like, oh no, right? And if they have that, the worst part about doing this with VI is if you don't catch them early as a beginner, they may have been editing in their beloved program for like an hour, and they haven't been saving as they've been going along. They've thought that they've been saving every time they exited. So they think that they've been, you see what I'm saying? Well, here's the problem. This is why it's not as easy as that. If you're a beginner, the beginners are using VI who do Control Z and screw that up. they've not saved a thing. And so every time they open it, they make another change. They're like, wait, I could have swore I changed that, and it's not there. It's not there because they didn't save it. They thought they exited by stopping the process, but they actually didn't save anything. So now they have 3 or 4 or a dozen versions of Vim that are all running with nothing saved in different states. And then they start to proceed. I tell them foreground. You have to be very careful how you help a beginner through this. But then you show them about foreground. They go, okay, well, I'll just foreground all of them. But every single one is in a different state. So then they FG it, and they're like, well, this one has this line in it. Okay, I'm going to close that, right, and save it. Okay, I got this other one, foreground. And then they save this one, and now they just blew out their changes from the other one. because that one wasn't saved, and now it blew out the changes from the other one, and they don't have that stop. Now, there's some protections of UI to protect against this, but this is actually really annoying, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. So the moral of the story is, don't use Control-Z and avoid beginners with Nano. At least Nano does show you, but teach them VI survive when it comes to it. And just know that Control-Z backgrounds a process. Sometimes it's useful. I mean, sometimes you might want to background a process on purpose. I don't know why you want to do that. I don't background anything with Tmux anymore. I mean, with a multiplexer, so you can have multiple things running at the same time and change windows. The whole desire, and I covered this in a point in this, the whole desire to reset is kind of gone. So you can cancel them all, but it's easier to probably just do this. I'm not going to even teach you the kill command yet, particularly if you're not going to be a beginner. So now they type jobs and they're all cleaned up. That's how you clean it up. Okay. So if you guys don't know about this yet, but if you want to run something in the background, you could do it this way. So you could do, thanks for the follows. If you want to run something in the background, you could do this. You could do, while true, we did this a little bit yesterday. Do echo hello. We'll do, let's do printf. Printf hello. And do we have run color? I don't remember if I do or not. I'm just trying to see if I have. I don't remember if I have it written. We're gonna write a program that does random color later. Oh boy, live coding is always such a treat. Never expect. Oh, do printf. Do. Sleep one done. All right, so let's do 0.1. It'll be more fun. So let's say we're running this beautiful program, and what are we going to do now? Now we want to if we wanted to suspend it, what would we do? So we could do Control S and that'll suspend it, but it's still buffering. Control Q and then it catches up, right? If I do Control Z, it's still running. You can't do that because it's not VI. And then you FG and that brings it back. The problem with that is that it brought it back, but it didn't run it. That's interesting. Is it still running though? That's curious. That's very curious. Did not realize that would do that. Anyway, so that's the way you could back. But let's say you want to take that whole entire thing and I don't know, you wanted to put it and run it in the background on purpose. You can put it space and then an ampersand, and that'll run it in the background on purpose. The thing that's crazy about this is, look, you can actually type and everything, but this is actually running at the same time as the other stuff is running. That's a good way to troll your friend. Yeah, it is. It's totally POSIX. Yes. I just checked today. So I can't even kill the thing. How do I get it back? How do I get it so I can kill it? I can't kill it, people. How do I kill it? Anybody know? What's your guess? Yeah. Call Steve. You can Control C. Control C doesn't do it, guys. Control C unplug the computer. Spam Control D doesn't do it. Oh, wait. Control D. You know what? Control D works. You know why? Because it killed my terminal. That's not fair. It's actually still there somewhere. No, it's not. Okay. So where's my hello job? Do I have it again? Where did it go? Here it is. Let's do it again. So now background it again. So here's the process ID, by the way, if you really want to know. And it's running. Another way to kill it would be to FG and then to Control C. Okay, because it was in the background, and so foreground brings it to the foreground. FG. Yeah, good job. That's all. I think that's all for this video. I wanted to show you all those things for backgrounding and for we're gonna again the purpose of the beginner boost is to show you what you don't know, so you can go learn about it. So just study up and play with the idea of backgrounding processes. All right, end of that video. Take a 5-minute break or so. And I mean, I know we're supposed to cover this yesterday. So it's kind of weird. Our days are kind of weird, but we'll do whatever. So, claps, yay! the moral support. I mean, we already covered this. So Control V doesn't do anything. Control X, as I told you, in Nano, doesn't do nothing from shell. So I just wanted to show you about that. Silence the terminal bell, we talked about. Cut and paste from the operating system. We are going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this, and we didn't talk about it. We're going to do a really quick video on it. You guys want to take 60 seconds or so to take a break, and then we're going to jam that one out and get on with the next thing. I really want to show you how to cut and paste with your mouse. People think they know how to do this. They actually don't. No question. After set that, how do I use VI keys and stuff in the prompt? Well, you have to know how to use VI first. That's why we're not going to tell you how to do set dash VI until after you learn VI. If you don't know VI, it's useless to you, right? Because you have to know VI. If you've done that and you're stuck, go to VI Survive from rdbx.gg. How to use it in the CLI? It's exactly the same. You just push escape or control F bracket, and then you navigate. It's just what you just pretend like you just can see one line of your file. Your history is your VI file, the file you're editing, and that one line is one line. So you push / just like in VI to search for stuff. You navigate up and down with J and K. You use escape and all that stuff. The best way to do it, hitting escape. Yeah, and then you have to push, I for insert, all that same stuff. If you want to delete the current line, you have to escape DD. So I was doing this today. So if you want to delete this line, I can't just push DD because I'm in insert mode, right? So I have to do escape DD and it'll delete the whole line. Yeah. But everything else is the same. So say escape, you can navigate back here. Let's say you want to delete to the end of the line, capital D. All the same edit commands from VI. In fact, including position. So like, let's say I want to delete up until the next J. So escape D, T, J, and that'll delete up to the first J. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's, well, that's good. I actually, since remapping caps lock to escape, lately I've been really liking left-handed line deletes. So caps lock, escape DD, and then it deletes my whole line. Now I have to remember to insert before I do another one. Now in there, can you get to an output of the prompt? Oh yeah, you can search. See, this is me going back and through my history. I can search through. I do it all the time. Let's see. Where's my Kali line? Where's that history line? There it is. N to go to the next one. I can delete lines from my history if I don't want them to exist anymore. Let's see, DD, and now that line does not exist anymore in my history. So if I try to find it, it's not there. I'm telling you, it's like you have a one-line window. It's like you're using VI, but all you get is one line, and everything else is exactly the same. Macros and everything. How do you turn VI mode in history? Set that show VI. I promised myself we weren't going to cover this yet, but if you are already ahead, then go ahead and do that. There are a few things that don't have VI mode, notably BusyBox and Alpine and some of the teeny tiny containers. They have the default, which is Emacs mode. But just remember, when you can't use Control L to clear the screen and stuff anymore because, a lot of people don't. It's not something that's commonly taught. But I don't understand why people learning VI teach set-vo at the same time, you're going to find that there's VI bindings built into all kinds of command line tools. And so that's the thing. It's kind of going ahead. How are we doing on time? Back at 7:45. All right, so let's get back at it. Another video. We're gonna do a video here on cut and paste from the host operating system. You're gonna laugh. Okay, I should just jump into this. I should not talk about it and then just do it. Damn it. All right, so you can do that, but I don't. Just alias C to clear. It's fewer keystrokes. Yeah, they do. Okay, so all right, we have to do this video. I'm already talking about it, so we better jump right in. I only gave myself 10 minutes. Oh my god, can I please have more time than that? I want to have a little bit more. I'll try really hard. Okay, so cut and paste from the host operating system. You might think that you know how to cut and paste. And actually, this is one of the few times I'm actually going to show you who invented the freaking mouse. And it wasn't Steve Jobs or the guys at Palo Alto and girls. It was, and they had notable females in their team too. So it was actually Engelbart, mother of all demos. So we can't talk about the mouse unless we talk about the mother of all demos. And here's a good one. Let's just open this one. Douglas Engelbart. Yes. Ken Thompson. How Douglas pulled off the mouse. Okay. So this is the first mouse that was invented. It was actually made out of wood. You can go see the mouse made. If you want to see the mother of all demos, I cannot it's like an hour long. It's very boring. It's a guy from the 50s taking credit for all of his engineers' work. It wasn't even him who did it. It was other people. But in the 50s, you took credit for their work. That's just how it worked. Mother of all demos. And guess who was sitting in the audience? People, guess who was sitting in the audience? The entire team from Palo Alto, pretty much. 1968, 1 year after I was born. It's just like, this is so amazing. I kind of want to just watch it the whole time, but we're not. So here's Engelbart, and this is the guy who invented this stuff. He invented Wi-Fi. He invented the first version of the internet. He invented the mouse. See, he's moving his mouse around. You should see how they did this. They have a camera pointed at a screen. That's how they transmit everything. It was analog. It was analog signals. It was all microwave towers. They were like, he invented a thing. The guy was like an accountant or something, and he decided to find a way for people to advance and make it faster. So he's actually, this is his complicated, look at that. There's the first mouse. How many buttons are on that mouse? Can you guys count them? Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 buttons on that mouse. You know what? It took Apple to come along and say, we don't need no 3 buttons. In fact, what's really cool is he even had another thing over here for the other. And see, this is weird too. See, because this is a different mouse. See, I don't think this is the same mouse. There are 3 lights. Are they lights or are they the mouse? So it's a big button with little ones, right? I don't know. I should probably do more research on here, but this is the first mouse ever captured on film, period. And it was the people at Palo Alto who created the small talk system. He has the little wheels there. Look at that, man. He's got the wheels. And the 60s, what a great time, man. There was a bunch of horrible stuff too, but some of the first structured programming is there. I don't even know what you would call that language. It's just so crazy. I want to say that mouse had three. To me, it looks like it had 3 buttons. Did I get it wrong? Making a Star Trek reference. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, if we're going to talk about the mouse, we need to give the guy who invented the mouse, Douglas Engelbart, or one of his friends, credit for them. He definitely invented it, not Jobs. Everybody says Jobs invented the graphic user interface. It's absolute crap. And people, pedantically say, actually, it was the Xerox Palo Alto team that invented the graphic user interface. And now you can pedantically tell them they're full of crap, because that's where it was actually invented. It was actually invented by Engelbart, and he probably stole it from a bunch of his engineers, because that's just how you did things back then. He put a tie on it, took credit for everybody's work. And so anyway, I couldn't talk about what I was saying. The reason I have to talk about that is because I used to call this learn how to use your computer. There are so many people who have not learned to use the basic desktop interface of the computer. And true story, this is an absolute true story. In 1997, no, five. What was I in college? 4 or 5? It was 4, 3 or 4, 93, 4, something like that. 4 or 5, I can't remember. Anyway, I kid you not, I was working in the language lab. I was the TA there, and we had a guy come to the class, come to the screen, and he did this. He put his mouse on the screen, and he thought he just moved his mouse on the screen and that would make it move around. He had no idea how to use his mouse, not at all. And you guys know a lot more about how to use your mouse now, but there's something you probably don't know how to do. And this always troubles people when they use their mouse with a Linux or a Unix system, because they're like, wow, this mouse was really weird. Truth is, everything else is weird. The mouse works as was originally intended. And this is in Engelbart's video for sure. So the way the mouse was originally intended to be used was a one-handed device. And if there's one thing, Apple's done a lot of amazing things for people. And given all the crap that Steve Jobs told everybody about saving everybody 2 seconds and therefore saving the world billions of hours for spending extra engineering time, it blows my mind that he forced people to use 2 hands to cut and paste. It's one of the worst UI design decisions in the history of the world. And they decided to throw out the actual better idea that Engelbart had invented, which is a one mouse button or a 2 mouse button sort of event. And then what you do is you select everything. And this is what Linux and Solaris and Unix and everything do. You select all this stuff, right? And okay, let's go someplace else where I want to put it. And by the way, this is anything. I mean, I could be doing this on a web page, right? Let's go to a web page and do it. So let's go to Engelbart's page. So I'm going to, with one hand, oopsie, that was a hot link. I didn't mean it to be. So I can double click this or whatever. I guess I'm just going to select it, right? So I got that all there. And now let's go paste it. So I click on a new tab, one hand still, and I click in the middle of here. That's a left click to get there. And then I middle click. See that? And it pastes it. And I hit enter. Boom, I'm done. That's how the mouse was originally intended to be made. If you're on a Windows machine, they have decided to choose to do this with the right mouse button, which is not Unix-y. And over here, in most Linux systems, right mouse button is the menu. And I think it should still be the menu. For some reason, WSL2 and Windows Terminal or whatever, Windows Terminal probably, decided to make right mouse button the same as middle on Solaris and Mac and anything that's got a 3-button mouse. Middle click is it. And by the way, if you have if you have a gaming mouse, the rolling thing, what do you call it? The rolling thing in the middle is, you can click on that and that counts as a mouse. That counts as a click. All right. And I got to tell you that once you start getting in the habit of doing this, you'll never go back, because it's so much faster. It's so much faster. I can go double click here, paste, double click here, paste. Double click here, mouse 3 equals middle mouse. Yeah. Double click here, mouse. Yeah. Scroll button. So double click here, paste. Somebody, I heard you mention TMUX problems. We haven't got to TMUX yet. Disable mouse from your TMUX immediately. It is a really horrible habit. Don't use a mouse in TMUX. The whole reason for using TMUX is for the multiplexer. It's a really, really bad idea to use the mouse in TMUX, in my opinion. So let's put Raritan's name here. I'm going to put all the people here. So double click, or I can triple click. This is another thing. So let's talk about that for a second. Do you guys know about single click, double click, and triple click? A lot of people don't know about triple click, right? So single click picks everything that it thinks is a word. Double click, actually no. One click is just click. 2 clicks, double clicks is a word. Triple click is everything on the line. All right. So sometimes it's easier to triple click on a thing and get the whole line when you're going back and forth. So this is actually particularly useful when you got URLs or something that are in a line. And I mean, all this stuff's heart linked, so it's not really doable. But just know about that. I'm raising my hand over here on purpose because I want you to see that almost every one of these functions that I'm doing, all this cutting and pasting I have, there's no Control C, V, blah, 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 blah. And the reason we had to have this video today after talking about, Control C for interrupt and things is because Control C is not cut. And never was. And if Steve Jobs and the team had a clue, they would never have put Control C as that because interrupt was already a thing. And I'm kind of upset because they screwed up the whole freaking world. The whole world thinks that Control X and Control V and C and V and all this stuff are the way it's always been. And it wasn't. It was actually way better than that. Way, way before that. So I'm just telling you right now, learn to use a mouse the way God intended. In other words, Engelbart, the father of the mouse, and just be happy. And in fact, remember what they did to the escape key? They tried to drop the escape key. Sigh. So let me just, that's all I have to say about that. Maybe that'll, help you read out your mouse. That said, I do think that it's, oh, by the way, once we're talking about mouse, let's talk about trackpads. If you're on a trackpad, all the same things apply. I use taps. I don't ever click. It wears my wrist down. I use taps. I use 2-finger and 3-finger. If you hit three, it's hard to do, but if you hit 3 fingers at once on a touchpad, it's the same as a triple click. 2 is a double click. So you can kind of do those kind of things. And it's also, you can play around with it. You'll figure it out. But now you know what to do and you can go practice it. And that's all. I was only 1 minute over. That was only 10 minutes. How's that? All right. So enough of that. Where's Mr. Engelbart? Is he still here? Yeah, it's a fun video. You guys should go watch that. It's really, really long though. This is actually a really good story. I haven't read this story. I'm not going to go read this. Where does such good stories? I mean, they're really. I believe ARPA spent 1960. Now ARPA is the one that later turned into DARPA and then brought us the internet. So yeah, I'm gonna have to read that. That looks actually. I'm gonna leave that one up. I'm gonna have to read it. That looks really good. Anyway, archive about the touchscreen. Ooh, that's nice too. Yeah, I'll have to bring that one up too. I've got that in my history here. Okay, so that's another reason I moved back to WeChat on my computer because it keeps WeChat. I mean, it keeps all the history instead of Twitter. Twitch does not keep history. All right, so let's go back to the next topic of the boost. Middle was paste. Windows right click to paste. So we talked about that. We talked about reset yesterday. We talked about clear yesterday. We talked about watch, which is like a loop. We didn't talk about type. Yes, we did. We talked about type to see if something exists. If it actually tells you it's there. Man will tell you, about the thing. We talked about listen more. We talked about ls, pwd, cd. We did all those yesterday. Don't fall for silly CD replacements. Use CD path, which I mentioned, but not deeply. Use cal and date. We did all of those. I put BC with don't forget to set scale. And let's see, use semicolons. This burned me on stream once really bad. Use semicolons for same line. If you're going to put everything on the same line with BC, make sure you have a semicolon between them. Top the ring process often replaced with htop. Okay, we talked about all of that. So we're on day 8 and we have a full hour to cover day 8 system administration. And so now we're going to start having some fun here. Okay. So I actually do need to stand up, for 5 minutes and then we'll jump right into installing stuff on your computer. If you want to start doing that, on your container. Okay, so I'm gonna say create and name a container to keep. All right, so all right. So far, since the 4th. Oh wow. Oh well, that's. I appreciate the talking back and giving the feedback. Um. Okay, I'm just kind of jumping ahead here. Docker dash run it slash no slash ar, so slash name boost and dash h boost, and then Ubuntu. All right, so there's your command. When I come back to that, I'm all ready to go, all saved and ready. I do need to stand up though. I really do. I'll be right back. Okay. I did like a whole video once that way without my sound on. I left my sound on. I thought, oh, you meant to be. That's why I stopped putting my face on the screen when I muted for like conference calls and stuff, because people were getting confused because they didn't know when I was muted or not, and so they thought I meant to be muted, and instead I was actually trying to talk to them. True story. Yeah, there's the command. Okay, so we are going to start a new video here. Thanks for the gifting a sub. That's really kind for you to gift that sub. Appreciate you guys doing that. Of course, it helps out. I wish, I'm sorry. There's nothing particularly special that I have for subs. I just feel like it. I don't know. I feel like it's unfair to reward people who have the money to sub, and some people outside of the country in particular don't have that. So I haven't put any perks. Everybody's equal here. If anything, I'll give points for the channel for contributors. People would bring interesting facts to the community, and that's something I really do want to reward at some point. Lots to do though, including finishing the boost before we get to that fun stuff. All right, so important topic here coming up: how to create a container workspace. So I'm going to start a video on this. This is really, really important because this is going to be what you're going to be building on over the next 95 days. And we're going to save the image as we go and stuff. So let me do a video on that for everybody so they can see. And we're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's just say a workspace container. Okay, ready, go. So what is a workspace container and why would you want one or need one? This is going to take way more than 10 minutes. I feel like I'm being ripped off by that Pomo session. I'm going to be going over it by quite a bit. We've been talking about containers lots of other days. Don't ask any questions about containers. We've already covered all of that, unless they're related to what we're talking about right now. And what we're talking about right now for the next 20 minutes or so is how to take all of those containers that we've been practicing and throwing away and everything and pick one and make one that we're going to name and stuff, and then we're going to reattach to that same one, and we're going to keep building on it just as if it were a Linux laptop that we wanted to put Linux on. We're going to do everything on it that we would need to do to build up a system nearly from scratch, putting all of our favorite things on that. And I call that, it's my own name, a workspace container. And I'm actually creating two applications based on the RWX workspace, Rob workspace container that you can download. I talked about another day. I'm actually making a tool that will help you manage independent workspaces. So stay tuned for that. So that you can build up a workspace and then you can switch it back and forth between your workspaces as if you had like 5 computers in front of you and you needed to switch to each computer depending on what project or job that you're working on. Well, the auto-generated name you can keep your auto-generated name. I'm not gonna. Please don't say. If people want to be on the inside joke, they can go back and watch a couple days ago, and they can see. I don't want to spoil it. Don't spoil it. No spoilers. But I got a randomly generated container name that was rather interesting. That's all I'm going to say. And you can go back and play with it. But please don't. SV, yes, that was the one. But we're going to take control so that we're not surprised in that way, at least. By making a container. And so you've seen me, yes, if you guys see me doing rub. I actually typed rub on accident. My fingers are trolling me this time. That was a total accident, I swear to God. Okay, so I've been doing run Ubuntu, and oh boy, what's going on here? It's already in a container. Do I have another one running? I do. Oh yeah, get out of that one. All right, so there we go. This is the best face. It's a kettle. Can you hear the kettle? My wife has a habit of making the most noise while I'm streaming. She's like silent for the rest of the day, but while we are streaming, everybody makes the most noise in this house. Anyway, that's because I rubbed the kettle and made it whatever. you've seen me doing this all a lot because I'm just too lazy, Kettlecast, and this is all it's doing. This is what run is. All right. And you don't have to do all of this, but we're going to do something to this effect. So Docker exec just throws away the process and replaces it with the new one that we're running so you don't waste resources. It says run Docker run, and then do IT, interactive TTY, remove, but we're going to take that piece out. -H for the name, and I put it in quotes just because it's in a script. And this is actually for the host name, and that's different than the actual container name. The container name is how you refer to the container in Docker. The host name is, you remember the prompt conversation, is the thing that it's the name of the actual computer, the host name of the computer. If you were using a network, that's how you would refer to it in domain name stuff. So it's a simplification, but yeah. So, and then this here is the name of what, and this is a little bit confusing because it's all the same, but this over here is the actual name of the image. Okay, so we have the wanted name for, and then this is just any extra stuff that you might want to put over there. So let's actually execute this so that every time you see me do run, now you know what I'm doing. It's just in a script, right? I told you every line on the command is you're just writing an interactive script, right? Put a couple lines in a file, boom, you're done. You saw it. So on this one, we're going to write that same thing out again. So we're going to go Docker run. Okay, and eventually you'll probably alias that to D or DK or something, but Docker run dash IT interactive TTY. If you don't do that, by the way, it'll run it and everything. It just doesn't give you anything to interact with, and we're going to cover that. So then what? Then we don't do --rm anymore because we want to keep it around. We want to keep our container around so we can go back to it and use it. If I do --rm, as soon as we exit it, it'll just delete it. And in this case, you don't want to do that. I'm going to say it again. Do not push --rm in here anymore, because if you do, you'll end up deleting your container and all the work you've been doing, which is fine. By the way, if you accidentally delete your work and everything you've been doing, who cares? The point, and we talked about this in the RWX day 0 and day 1, it's like, it's all about repetition. Today, I just read in the MIT class, the lost semester class that they have, which basically teaches you everything you need to get a job that they don't teach you in college. A lot of it anyway. A lot of it I disagreed with. I was ranting all day today. It covers this kind of stuff, and they covered repetition. It's important that you repeat all this stuff again. So the reason we're doing Docker containers is so you get so much practice doing it over and over again. You're going to build up a thing and you throw it out, do it again, throw it out, do it again. Yeah, I don't care if you know it. The stats are so good on this. The people who overlearn things have way better retention. So you want to be able to do things so that they're so second nature that you do them over and over again. So Docker run IT, run it, and then what? So then we're going to give it a name. It's 2 dashes for some reason on that. So using name, the host becomes the name rather than, yes, that's exactly right. So then we do name. I'm going to call mine Boost. You can call one everybody you want. Charlie, whatever. Space repetition. That's exactly what it is. Space repetition. And then we have -H for the host name, which I'll just make it the same. I don't care if they're different. And then I don't need quotes because it's not a script or anything. I know it's not dangerous. And then what? And then I need the name of the image. So I suggest everybody use Ubuntu for the boost, but this is the point where you could do Kali, Ubuntu, Nix OS. You can do whatever you want right here. Okay. And I do I encourage you to go and explore all kinds of things if you want to, but just make sure you're caught up on the boost. But if you want to do extra stuff, go have fun. That's what it's all about. So, but I'm going to do Ubuntu. I know it's boring, but it's most likely going to be the operating system you're going to start with or be working with. Perhaps you want Red Hat instead. That's also fine. And by the way, if you want to use Red Hat or something like that, and you want it to be in the boost, then during all these boost videos, all you really have to do is interpret the stuff we're doing, like installing software, and replace that with your own research. How do I do this on Red Hat? And by the way, if you do it on Ubuntu, doing the whole boost, you might be able to redo the whole boost and do the whole thing using Red Hat. Then do the whole thing doing Kali. Then do these sections, right? These days. Then do the whole days using Nix OS. And if you follow through on these principles, you'll be able to be proficient in multiple Linux OSs instead of just one. But Ubuntu is going to be the one that we're going to talk about. So that's it. Okay. If you think that was going to take a long time, you can put it in the background with an ampersand like we just talked about. But it's probably not going to take long at all. So we'll just leave that out. And we'll run that. Now that comes back right away and gives us our boost. Okay. Now, this is going to be a little bit trickier, but you remember I told you guys how to detach? We didn't practice it very much, but I want you to practice it right now. If you do this wrong, it'll stop your container and nobody's going to die. It's fine. But this is the keystrokes. So hold control down and hit, whoops, let me put my keys back on. So here we go. Let me do it again. So this is how you detach from a running container. You hold control down, you push P and Q. Whoop, did I do that right? There, yeah, PQ kind of quickly. And when you do that, that detaches and you'll see immediately that you get back your host prompt. Okay, so now I have the host prompt. Now, is everybody, if you're with me, I hope you're with me. I'll give you a little time here, but if you're not with me, that's fine. Just keep working at it. And now let's see what's running. So we're going to docker ps. And as you can see, I have one running that's called boost, right? I think I don't do docker ps with filter much. I'm going to try something. No. I'm going to try something that I haven't tried before. It is filter. Yeah, so filters are kind of, I haven't done filters yet. So again, docker ps is just to, most of the time I would just do this, docker ps grep boost, and that will just show me only the line for the one that I want. And it sees that you see that it's still running. It hasn't been stopped. If it doesn't show up, then you could do docker ps-a and you'll see it's probably there. Docker output. Yeah, it really is. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. I wish they would provide a different form of output, but you can actually do other things here. So let's do, is it dash filter? I think it is. And I think it's hostname, but I don't remember. I don't know. There's a way for it to just show the ones that you want. It's kind of like a database query, but I don't remember. Just know the only reason you need it is to see whether your thing's running or not. You won't see these other stuff over here. You'll just see this, right? You'll just see that one. In fact, let me stop mine. Docker stop. I'm kind of giving it away. Let's go ahead and stop reg and docker stop. Actually, I could probably do kind stop. You don't worry about that if you don't know about that. Docker ps docker stop kind control plane. There. And remember, see how I tabbed it? I tab completed it, and it grabbed it for me. And that's why tab completion is your friend. So, and it's taken a long time to bring that one down. Docker ps. So I only have the one there now. So I just have the one running container. So let me prove it. So if I do docker ps, there it is. So I have the one, and its name is boost. All right, and it's still running. Now I'm gonna. I think that's it. Okay, so that is it. You have one that's running, and I think we're probably gonna need to do the next part of this. Create a name a workspace container. So okay, detach with what? Detach with ctrl-pq. Okay, exit with exit. Okay, I say so. Okay, so we should probably do the difference between detach and exit. Difference between detach and exit. Control PQ. Yep. So exit is this not the same as it? Okay, so exit, don't delete. All right, so let just pretend like I'm gonna reattach. Okay, so to reattach, we talked about these really quickly, but you can do attach and then you give it the name. That's why we gave it the name. You could have given it this thing or this thing, and now we're reattached because it's running. If I want to detach, I do Control PQ. I can do attach again, and I'm there again, still running. Okay. What happens if you type exit? Now, exit is not a Docker command. Exit is a shell command. That says exit the current shell. If you exit, you get a big difference. Now you do Docker PS, it's not there. Oh no, where did my container go? It's all dead. No, it's still there. That's what's great about containers. It's still there. So now you do Docker PS, grep boost, and you need to do -A for all of them, even the stopped ones. And that will see, oh, hey, look, 5 minutes ago, it exited 20 seconds ago. It's still there. So that's fine. And that's actually better. You probably, if you're on a computer that you're doing other things on, you might want to stop your container, just exit. Or if you're detached, you can just run stop. See, watch, let me show you another way to do this. So another thing you could do is I can't attach to the boost because it's not there. So I'm going to start it. Start up boost. Now I have a boost and I can attach to it. All right. So now I detach. So I'm back on my terminal, Docker PS. I have it's running. It's taking memory resources. You know, it's one of these things is being impacted by this thing running, right? I mean, it's not a lot, but if it was a virtual machine, it'd be a lot more, by the way. So now what? Now let's say I want to stop it without attaching. Now you can always attach it to it and then exit. That'll stop it. But if you just want to directly stop it, don't use RM. We're not talking about RM yet. RM is the deadly one, right? That will kill your container and remove it. It doesn't remove the image, but it removes all the changes you made to that container since running it. So that's super dangerous, right? So don't do that. We don't want to do that. You want to unless you want to practice. If you want to re-practice over and over again, you want to make it over and over again. Yeah, you're right. If you want to delete it, fine. That's exactly what it's there for. Just know what it's there for. So, and again, you can't break anything here. This is why we're using containers. If we were doing this the old way by burning a USB stick and then doing it on your hard drive, we couldn't do this. Right? Even with a virtual machine, it's a lot bigger hassle to reinstall a virtual machine after messing it up than it is to reset a container after, as you can see, it's one command. So this is why we're doing this. Anyway, so let's do the next step. So I'm almost mad, but that's okay. So stop is a Docker command that you can, we're about to do it right now, Brillin. All right, so here we go. Docker PS shows us this thing, and then we're going to do Docker stop boost because we gave it a name, right? And now if I do Docker PS, it's not there unless I do -A and grep it out because I got tons of them. And now you'll see that it's still there, ready to be started up and go its merry way and do all that stuff. So we talked about these commands really quickly earlier, but now you can see they have real relevance. Let's say that you really screw it up or if something goes wrong on it and you want to reset it. Well, you can do this. If you try to do it again, let's go find that Docker command. Remember that history stuff? /docker. Let's go search for boost. Where's my command again? There it is. You're probably just going up and down with the arrows for now. That's fine. We're going to teach you VI mode. So there's the exact same command that I just entered. I don't even have to go remember it because it's in my history. So now when I hit enter, what happens? Oh no, I have a conflict, right? Because there's already a container named that, and that's good. That's good. Now I could do this. I could put boost 2 or something, and you might want to do that actually. At some point, you might want to do that. But if you really just want to throw it away and you want to start over, then Docker RM boost will just let you do it. It doesn't even warn you. It's like gone. And the reason for that is because Docker containers are meant to be ephemeral. That means that the best practice when using containers is to never depend on them having anything inside of them that can't be thrown away. Now, we're thumbing our nose at that best practice convention for the sake of the boost to make a workspace, but I want to make it clear to anybody watching this that that is not the general best practice for containers. The best way to think about a container is something that can be thrown away at any time, and anything that you might want to keep around, you might want to put into a folder someplace, or something like that. And we may get to that. We're something called a bind mount. I might as well just talk to you about it right now if you want to know it. I don't want to confuse you, but let's say you go into the temp directory. Let's go into temp, Docker, attach name of container. That's right. Yes. And so let's say make directory boost. I'm going to call this my boost. God, you could even do boost root. I haven't done this before. This would be interesting. I've never done this. We'll see what happens. So you can make directory boost root. I wasn't planning on doing this, so maybe I shouldn't do it. So this is something else you can do. We're actually going to say, instead of using the directory, the reason this is so dangerous is if you can hurt your host computer by doing what I'm about to do. So just don't pay attention unless you want to know about this. But if you want to bind mount this directory, boost _root to, slash or something in there, like maybe your home directory, let's say. So let's say home/u or something, like that. So it's from on the host system and the target system. And now when you run this one, when you go into /home, we haven't talked about, we didn't talk about CDs, so you know about that. Now there's a home U directory. Now watch what happens if I make a file here. Sample, right? Now I'm going to exit the container. Now when I cd into boost root, look what's here. Nothing. There's nothing in my booster because I don't have permission. I knew I shouldn't have done that. I feel so bad. I did it wrong. I should never have done it. I'm going to chop that whole part out of the video. That's what I get for overreaching. It's probably got a permissions issue. So, but it did it. It created it. So I think I actually have to do temp/boost. I don't know. We'll see. Where's my RM? I was just playing with this today. Come on. Touch file. Oh, there's no VI. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. So echo is something -- to file. Yes, you can. Yes, that's exactly right. But if you want to get rid of that 3 GB image, yeah, you can totally do that. Big old image that you probably don't need. Hey, it worked. It worked. So you see what I did there? Oops. So, but look at the file's home by root, right? So the reason that I'm kind of regretting that I showed you about how to bind mount is, for a beginner, you want the safety of the sandbox. Remember I told you with containers you can poke holes into it, network ports, and I want to have this, I want to share this file, or I want to share this directory. You can specifically poke holes through it. That's what we just did. We poked a hole and we said, I want temp boost root to be the same as home root inside of that. So any changes you make in the container to home root will be saved in the host OS, completely independent from the whole container system. And that can be dangerous. Somebody might get the idea that they want to mount their home directory in their own container, and that's a horrible idea if you're just starting out, because you're going to be blowing away all kinds of stuff in there. So don't do that. But I just wanted to show you that it was possible. Maybe for some of the advanced people out there who want to mess around with binding. The only other thing you have to know, if you wanted to, I don't know if there's anybody who's a beginner who actually does web development. If you wanted to do web development, it would be -P. If you wanted to make port 80 appear, you could port 80 like that, and then any web server or something running in the container will show up as port 80 on the host system as well. And so those are the two main ways to poke holes into your container so you can then use them from your host. There's lots of ways of doing that, but I at least want to mention it going into this, just so we're going to go into that in depth later, but I wanted to just tell you that because it does make an advantage. So the only command you really need to remember, and let me go back to it, is this name and boost. At some point, you're going to put that in a file or something, and you don't know how to edit files yet. But if you wanted to try your hand at it with Nano or something, yeah, you could edit. But you don't even need that. We're going to do that later. So, all right. So let's actually start installing software on the thing. We are done with this video though, because we have created a namespace work container. We have got it running, and I'm going to start it back up. I'm going to start Boost back up, and then I'm going to attach to it, and I'm going to attach to Boost, and that'll reattach. All right, now there's other ways to get into the thing and run, but we're going to stick with attach for now, okay? All right, that's it for that video. Now let's start putting some stuff on here so we can start practicing and learning VI and all that. We got 10 minutes or so, 20 minutes. All right, so I'm going to jump right into another video here. Does anybody have any questions to talk about in between? I know you guys have been asking questions as we've been going. That's good. Any other questions there? How long duration? Safely. That's what I was just telling you. That's what I was just showing you how to do. If you work on a project, okay, so let me just start by saying again, for the boost, we are not talking, I'm asking you to treat the boost as if it's a destructible playground for now. And we're going to be building stuff up, but I don't want you to put anything inside of your container that you feel like you're going to die if you don't have it. Okay. That trick about mounting your volume so that the files stay around, we're going to come back to that. We're going to do it again. Then how the state is maintained because the container, whether it stopped or started, is still there and it still has its current state. It's kind of like it was frozen. The only time it goes away is if you remove it or you prune it. And we haven't even talked about pruning, so don't do that. That's why I almost didn't want to talk about RM right now. I kind of want you to have, I hope, this is my idea anyway, is that you'll use the same container for the entire boost. And we're going to be storing backups as we go along, so that you can go back to any of those backups at any moment in time and go back to it and kind of snap it back and continue on forward using what's called the images commit. So we haven't done any of that yet, but that's the goal. Okay. So this last video was to show you how to get your container up and running, and have it preserve state and make it so you can go back to it anytime. You are sort of at risk if your computer ever died or your disk drive went down, you would lose that container, or if you accidentally RM'd it, you'd lose it, stuff like that. Yeah, to be honest, to have a backup. Yeah. So your container, everything that you change in your container, stays changed even when the container is not running. Okay. So that's something that's important. I'm actually gonna make a video about that because that's a pretty important idea. It's a short video. Let me just make a really short video about that. I think I already have of them doing this. Okay, so let's see, create a name in Workspace. Okay, we did that. Understand container states and storage. So let me just do, I mean, this is I promise it'll be a 5-minute famous last words. A 5-minute video, famous last words. I got so I'm gonna go a little over tonight. I can tell already. Damn it, my stupid thing. Oh God. All right, so I promise this is going to be a short video, but I had a lot of questions after the last one about understanding what happens to the container. And it's really important that everybody's like, well, how do I back up my stuff? Where does it go? What happens when I change my container? Do I have to take a backup? Do I need to push it to get it? I mean, millions of questions about what happens to my container. And so I want to talk for 5 minutes, I swear, for 5 minutes of understanding container states and storage. And what that means is that, so I'm just going to tell you what it means, and then we'll actually, I mean, you can actually figure it out for yourself. So the bottom line is this: when you start up a container, so when you download the image is what ends up running in the container. And every time you make a new container, you run. Every time you call run, it makes a new instance of that image as a container. It's a running container at the time, and it's, you do PS and it shows it's running and everything. When you exit the container state doesn't go away. Docker automatically saves the state of that container. Everything that's changed, all the files that have changed, all your project work, all the software you installed, all gets saved with the container, and that container is, inert. It's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's inactive. It's paused. It's stopped, whatever you want to call it, but it still has everything in it. And so then when you do Docker start, boom, it brings all of that back into memory, and then you do Docker attach and you connect to it and you see all your stuff is still there. So that's why I think it's good to have Dockers as workspaces to practice software installation and messing with security things, whatever you want, development, because you can mess around with a lot of exploration, the X and RWX, and then you can always just save it by just exiting. You just exit and it gets saved automatically. Now, in addition to that, there's another command which we aren't going to talk about until later called commit. And if you do a Docker commit, you can turn that container that's off, you can turn that turned off container into an image, just like the image that we started with when we downloaded it, right? And once you save it as an image, you can do all kinds of fancy things with it. You can store it as a file that you can share with your friends. You can push it up to Docker so that you have it to use on a different computer, and that's what I did with my Workspace. You can share it all over the place. And that's generally not the way people do it, but but for a beginner, that's totally fine. So if you're really, really paranoid about saving your progress as you go, and we'll do this every once in a while, you can do a Docker commit, and everything about that container will be saved. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. A committed container is a saved state. So the container, as long as Docker is on your system, and I checked it, even if Docker goes down, the containers that are there are not affected. They're still there, and if you start Docker back up, it will see the containers that are there, and when you run them, it'll preserve their state and bring them back. But if you're scared of the container getting removed or pruned or accidentally deleted or anything, or you want to put your thing on a USB stick because you're really paranoid, you really want your container you've been building up, even though it's kind of against the whole ephemeral nature of containers. But if you did want to do that, you just do commit, so Docker commit, and now you get a copy. And you can actually, through this boost, if you want to, you can do, boost 1 and put the date on it or something, and you can put those on a USB stick. And then on that USB stick, you can have all of the save points of your system as you've been building it. Now, the nature of repetition and learning and stuff makes it so that a lot of the stuff that we're doing here, you're gonna want to, you're gonna be fine getting it back. And when we do actually start making things that you might care about losing, when we start writing code, the code that we write is never going to be saved only inside of your container, ever, because that's a super bad practice. I refuse to teach that to beginners. And from day one, we will learn how to save the code that we write, your backup commits, your configurations and all that stuff. I will teach you, or we'll go through how to save all of that stuff in GitHub in a .files directory, or a code book or a laboratory repository, whatever you want to call them, so that all of your code, whether it's private or public, is saved on a cloud provider like GitHub, so that even if you throw Docker away, and you could have that code anywhere. You can bring that code into a Docker container. You can bring it into your desktop that you just put Linux on. You can bring it into anything. So I don't want anybody to get too panicked about losing anything right now, because we're just learning about how to set up containers and storage and stuff. When it comes time to start doing things that you're going to keep, configuration files, beginner code, no matter, hello world even, at that point, we're going to start using GitHub specifically to store backups of all of that stuff so they can be restored pretty quickly. And you should really get in the habit of doing that from the very first day, because if you don't, you're going to have a bad day. Something's going to go wrong, and all that code is going to be lost at some point if you don't do it. So that's the entire reason that Git was invented, and we're a little ahead of ourselves on that, but we'll keep going for that. Dr. Lib, yeah, thank you for that. Are there any other notable pros and cons of an image created from scratch with a Docker file versus an image created with Docker commit? Mostly that you don't have as much control over it. So he's asking a question about Dockerfile, and I've been trying to hold off the conversation about Dockerfile till later, but you're going to hear about it, so I might as well mention it. A Dockerfile, long and short of it, a Dockerfile is a way to make an image without using commit. So there's two ways to make an image. One of them is writing a Docker file and doing Docker build, which is very structured, and that's why you want to learn how to program shell, because what's the number one language that Docker files are written in? POSIX shell. That's why it's our first language. And if you want to write a very structured image, you want to customize it and put all your favorite stuff in there. And if you want an example of that, you can look at my Workspace. I've got a rather involved, it's not particularly a good example for beginners. I even put a disclaimer on there because there's so many run statements, which makes a fat 3 gigabyte container, which is huge in container terms, but it's a Workspace. So, but if you really want to get a sense of that, if you want to get really deep down into it, you can go look at Docker files and see what people do with them and look through them. And next time you go through GitHub and you're just randomly browsing, you'll see people have Docker files and things that don't look like they need a Docker file. A lot of times people will make a container to go with their software project just to show it off. I have one for links. Or to help people do the testing and the development. That's DevOps. That's part of the whole DevOps thing, is using a container with a consistent environment to develop on, and sharing that consistent container environment with everybody else on your development team. That is the essence of DevOps from the developer perspective. So what we're learning with containers is going to be fundamentally important to you as a developer, no matter what you do. You want to do Node? Fine. You want to do edge computing? Fine. It's going to have that same idea. So the difference between a Docker file and a commit is you have to write code. Bottom line, to get an image with a Docker file, you have to code a Docker file. To get an image with commit, you just have to do Docker commit. You don't have to know how to do coding. You have to mess with the Docker file. Okay. Now, and I've debated going through this, having you learn both together, but my current approach to this, just so you know, kind of in advance, to give you a kind of a carrot, is we're going to be doing commits at first. Okay. And then we're going to go through the shell scripting module, whatever you want to call it. And after we finish the shell scripting module, we'll spend maybe half a week or a week writing a Docker file in shell. And we'll take everything that we've been doing up to that point and we'll do it in shell. We'll put it in a Docker file. And at that point on, it's up to you to decide if you want to maintain your Docker file as you make changes to your image so they're consistent, which is a good practice, actually. I'm doing that right now. So I just found out that I was missing some things from my Workspace. So I added them to my Docker file and then updated my image for other people to use. Another reason to use a Docker file like that is you can also do Docker push, which allows you to share your images like I've done with the Workspace with the rest of the world. And that means if you have other people who want to use your image, they can try it and use it out. So hopefully that helps you understand container states and storage, including all the way up to and including saving your image, whether you committed your image or you did it with a Docker file and built it, saving that the state of that entire image up to a registry of any kind. GitHub is a registry, Docker is a registry. There's, what is it? Creo is a registry. There's lots of registries these days, including your own private registry if you want to. And managing registries and all of these containers and making them do different things, that is the essence of cloud native, and that is what Kubernetes does, orchestration. So that management of state and storage and processes and when something runs and when it doesn't run. That's, of course, the next level after this. But you have to build, I'm finding out in my job, you have to build all of that knowledge on top of a really core understanding of how containers work. And that includes learning a Docker file and shell scripting at some point. Okay, private registries, yes. Yes, that's a good point. All right, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're going to go back to what we were doing. Hopefully that helps. Yes, all the free stuff is awesome. I don't. Oh, you talked about setting a different Docker container location. I don't know. I wouldn't. Not at this stage. Honestly, I don't. El Deuterino. I don't think that you should worry about that at this stage. I think after we learn shell scripting, I think it's more important for you to put that worry toward making a Docker file, because the Docker file is just one file and you can recreate your image anywhere. So, you know, you can send just the file to a friend and they can build their own image out of it. In fact, that's a common thing to do, is to steal someone's Docker file and make changes to it and now build an image like yourself. And so you look through people's Docker files to see how you want to adjust your images and make new ones. It's really fun. All right, so we're at 8:55. What was the last part of this thing that we were doing here? Docker states, we did that. Software. I can do one video on how to search, install, and remove software. It's actually pretty easy. I don't think image and storage is important. I really don't. Maybe somebody who's got more experience has a different opinion, but I don't think it's important. It's particularly not important because unless you're doing commits the way we're doing them. In that case, if you're doing Docker commits and commit, and you're trying to keep that image and use it, doing that is kind of an anti-pattern. The only, putting it in a Docker file is much more robust. You can version the Docker file. You can say, how did it change and everything. If you're just committing along the route, it's not. You can make your images have tags if you want. Again, the reason that we're doing Docker commit is only for the sake of having a backup, and I'm almost more motivated to help you get to the Docker file path as soon as possible, because then you have a hard copy of what your image is going to look like. You can actually visualize everything you've done up to that point. Sudo installing a whole bunch of stuff into your file is kind of a bad idea. So APT and the system clock, right? With APT and the system clock. Sometimes I haven't gotten hit by that one yet, but let's go ahead and do some software installation. And then I'm going to call it for today. My throat's running out. All right. So it's going to be a big one though. This is a full 25 minutes. So I am going to go over, but I think I don't want to leave without covering this. All right, so let's do this. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna do a fast video. So this is probably going to be a full 20-minute video at least to cover this. The commands that we're going to cover are not complicated, but they're very, very deep rabbit holes if you want to go down them. And so the goal for this video is to get software on your container. So right now you've got a container and you're looking at a container and it ain't got nothing on it, and I mean nothing. So it's been optimized to be small. It's not even really intended for that kind of thing. And so here's your container. I'm running it as root. It's the boost container. It's in the root down here. We'll talk about file systems in a different video. But there's really nothing here. I mean, there's ls. Okay, that's nice, right? But let's say I wanted to install something. There's not even nano here. A lot of systems will come with nano. And given the fact that the homework is going to be getting started with VI, one of the programs that you would want to use is VI. It's not here. VI's not here. Vim's not here. Emacs isn't here. Emacs, there's nothing here. Like nothing. It's like pretty much empty. Top's not even here. Oh, it is. Top's there. HTOP isn't though. So maybe HTOP is there. Let's do HTOP. So actually no, let's do VI. So we need an editor. We don't even have an editor on this container at all, right? So we need to learn how to install software. So I'm going to break the process down for installing software on any Linux operating system. If you're coming from the Windows world in particular, the idea of installing software from the command line might seem weird at first, but I promise you, once you've done it, you'll never go back, because it's so much easier than playing around with double clicking on this file and not knowing if it's there or not and blah, blah, blah. Now, we are on a Debian Ubuntu Linux system. And so these days, Linux distros are largely defined by what their package manager is. In other words, what their software package manager is, how they manage software. And if you go back and watch the day where we talk about the different Linux distros, you can see me trying to like do the NixOS installer and, trying to remember how to do an RPM command or yum every single Linux distro has a different package manager. And at some point you'll probably need to learn them all. I used to write, packages for RPM on Red Hat for IBM, and I've never created an apt package, and you'll hear debates about whether that's good versus Snap or Flatpak. It's a really popular thing for YouTubers and people to argue about, like what the best package manager is. Geeks is another one, GUI. But we don't care about any of that. The only thing you need to take away from that as a beginner is, one, package managers are a thing. Two, people love to fight about which package manager is better. And three, the main package manager that you need to use in the world is apt, APT. It used to be apt install. And probably the second most important one for you to learn is RPM, but we're not going to learn that one based on what software is used in the enterprise. The most useful, most dangerous, and controversial package manager is Pacman on Arch Linux, because it allows users to publish software without any checks whatsoever. There's no validation of who they are. There's nothing. It's the Wild West, which makes it really fast and easy to upgrade stuff. But there's tons of insecure software because there's no process for deciding who gets to put software into those repositories. And if you want to read about the fights or watch the fights that are about package management, they're almost all entirely based on which package management system is better, which one has the best balance between latest software and being new and cool and all that stuff. The AUR is different than Pacman. Yeah, I know, but they're the same. So, and it's a Rust person, obviously. So, I did say AUR. Yeah, it is the AUR. The AUR is used by Pacman. Pacman is the command. So this is another thing about package managers that we need to talk about. Okay, so there's the software that's used to install the software. In the case of APT, that would be dpackage. So there's generally two pieces there. And I think in Arch, I don't know, but I think in Ahrefs, Pacman is both. It both does the installation and it accesses the AUR to go find software from there. And that's kind of like what APT has started to do for Debian. I don't want to confuse you. Talking about package management and software installation can get really hairy really fast. So for the sake of the boost, I want to stay focused on APT and not RPM and yum. There's another one, right? So there's RPM on Red Hat, but then there's yum for interfacing with the whole network of software that's out there. And DNF, yeah. There's another one too, right? Is there more Arch stuff? There's probably more Arch stuff that will access the AUR. The AUR is the network of all the software. Every one of these has a network of software that's provided, and there's one or more tools that access that software to go get it and decide what you need on your system, and then how to put it on there. And then there's different tools sometimes that are actually installing it onto your system, and all of that can get very confusing. So, but I think that gives you kind of enough of an overview so you're not going to sound like you don't know what's going on when an Arch person accosts you and says, why are you doing Gentoo? Why are you doing apt when obviously, Arch is superior because of the AUR, which is not true at all. But if they will hit you with that, and now you at least know what they're talking about. But there are other package managers that interact with AUR, like K-popular ones. Yeah. yeah, Pac-Man does the official one and AOR, right? And that's like Manjaro. Manjaro tries to say that it's safer because it doesn't use the AOR unless you tell it to. It uses the other thing. It's safer, which is no, because the Manjaro people have clearly shown that they just rubber stamp everything and stick it in their repo and make everybody feel safer so that they can try to sell you something. That's Manjaro. Pac-Man doesn't access the AOR as far as you know. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then tell me what's, okay. Let's stick with the one that we're going to focus on then. So the reason I'm asking is because when you do this on Arch Linux, by the way, we have to unrun in privilege mode on Arch Linux. Arch Linux is the only container that does not work when you just do a Docker run. It's the only container that I've used so far that has to have privilege mode to do a basic install. I'm so glad we're not doing it for the beginning, and I'm done talking about it. Okay, so I'm just not even going to give it the time of day. Just stay away from Arch. If you're a beginner, stay away from it. If you want to come back to it later and deal with all its unnecessarily complex quirks that are going to waste your time, fine. Not in the boost, okay? So in the boost, we're going to talk about APT now. So APT has to be, we talked about going out and getting all the software that's out there, right? Well, the first thing you have to do is tell your system, hey, I want to start getting software. And so the first command for any software, package manager on any system is some form of, hey, go update. So apt update. And sometimes they'll tell you to put -y after this. And that goes out and it gets all of the lists of all the packages that are out there. And so now it says, hey, I have the whole list of packages. And now you can try to do the install. Okay, so let's do the install. If we do the install, we can do apt install. But I don't know what to install. So let's go search for what we should install. Apt search. We're going to search for VI or Vim. VI or Vim. Let's see if there's anything to search for. Okay, we got all these things here. And, oh man, it went off my screen. So I'm going to teach you a command you don't know yet, but we're going to pipe to more. This is something we've been doing quite a bit. So I'm going to pipe that to more and see all the different ones that are here. So that looks weird. What is that? Biology Vim? That's probably not it. Now I happen to know you can just use Vim and you'll be good to go, but I wanted to show you how to do search. This is how you could, this is how you can search and look through different kinds of things that are out there. Vimeo, Go Magic, what the hell? Anyway, Vim inspired selection. Wow, look at all this Vim stuff. NeoVim, there's your NeoVim. Don't just say no to NeoVim for now. Look, if you want to use NeoVim later, fine. I'm not going to judge you. I know a lot of great people use NeoVim. I'm not going to judge you. Just don't use it now. Okay, please be patient. Learn VI first, then Vim, then NeoVim if you want. So you know what you're getting into. So let's keep going. Ruby NeoVim, Vim Focal. That's interesting. Vim Improve Enhanced VI. It looks like it might be important. Vim Air, Vim something. Vim Focal must be the right one. I don't know. So you can do your own research to find out what the thing is to install. Maybe you would be doing an internet search to find out what it is you need to install. There's lots of stuff here, but a lot of times you can pretty much guess the one you need. So you can like type Vim. It's like, oh, I don't have it. So you can do, okay, now we're root right now, so we can just type apt install. We don't have to do sudo. We're going to do that later. So apt install Vim. So apt space install space Vim, and that will go out and it's going to ask you all these stuff it's going to get for you. I don't even know why it would suggest also plugins for Vim, but whatever. Vim scripts, this includes the Vim tutorial and a bunch of other stuff. All these other Python things, which I don't know why. I guess it's because you can do plugins in Python now. These are all the reasons that Vim has been bloated out of. I mean, if you were to do VI versus Vim, it'd be way less than this. Actually, you can do that if you want. I wonder if we should do VI minimal, Vim minimal. Should we? Vim. I don't know if it's there. Let me try. Nope. Let's try just plain old VI. Nope, doesn't have it. Vim Tiny, is it Vim Tiny? I can't. Vim Tiny used to be the default. Yeah, there's Vim Tiny. The problem with Vim Tiny is it doesn't come with a tutorial. So, you know what? Oh, Here's another one. You could try NVI. You know, that is not NeoVim. Try NVI. Let's do NVI. Install NVI. This will be fun. NVI is the VI that comes on BSD Unix. It is error for error compatible with the original VI. So if you ever want to know whether something is a Vimism or a NeoVimism, you can just see if it works in NVI first. But it doesn't have a tutorial, so I don't know. Let's try it. Go ahead and install it. Let's try it. Oh man, I couldn't do it. Could not determine current run level. Denied execution at start. Dang it. It doesn't look like it's working. Oh wait, it did. I did it again. Do an apt install again and see if it worked. It does. It works. Okay. So do NVI. Yeah. So do you guys get NVI? And then remember, to get out is Control Shift ZZ. Shift ZZ. Just Control Left bracket Shift ZZ. Just do Shift ZZ. Yeah. Yeah. This doesn't have a Vim tutor at all. There's no Vim tutor. Oh God, no! It's not. Taniwa NVI is the VI for BSD. It's error for error compatible with. It's look at it. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. Watch set list. How about this? How about this? No. Oh, there's your line numbers. I guess it does have line numbers. The one for BusyBox doesn't, but this one does. That's all you got, baby. There's nothing more. Oh, look at that. This is like great. It's not NeoVim. Oh my God. You're live, by the way, on video. You're getting recorded for time and eternity, so just be careful with your trolling today. I don't mind the trolling, obviously. I'm just telling you. By line number. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that's all you get. This is all you get. It's V. This is what you never called. Okay, so go ahead and install that. Did you guys get that installed? All right, now let's go install. Let's go install Vim, and you don't need to do Vim Tiny. You can go ahead and you can use NVI for Tiny VI, and you can use Vim for all the Vimisms. And so you do Vim is there you go Vim. You get all this big bloat. And then you can push yes, and it'll download all that stuff. Isn't that cool? I mean, this is where I usually get oohs and ahs from. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I guess I'm just going to do it. They do the install a second time and it works the second time. It doesn't work the first time. I don't know what's up with that. Oh, I know why. It's because of the man files. Oh, right. I forgot about this. Unminimize. I forgot about this. Make sure you type unminimize. All right, I hate NeoVim. Name one thing you can do in NeoVim you can't do in other stuff. Yeah, most people who like NeoVim don't know how to use shell integration. 90% of the time they never used it. Like, what? I didn't know you could do that. Every time I show them. And then if you still want to use it, fine. Just yeah. Well, I'm not talking about tmux. I'm talking about shell integration. Okay, so here we go. We've got a lot of wonderful things installed. Did you guys do that unminimize? I need to put that in the list. Pause. Let's see. But first, let's unminimize. So unminimize, I forgot to cover that. Unminimize takes the container from its minimal version and makes it into the big version again. And most specifically, that means it adds the manual pages. And we talked about man pages 2 days ago. So now we have man. So I can type man vi, man vim. How about that? Man vim. There's no vim. There's no man command. So let's install that. This is why I love containers, because you guys have to do all the hard work. All right, so let's do this. So add, let's do apt install vim. No, we did that one. Apt install What was I just telling you? I forgot. Man. There you go. It does too have man. It doesn't come with man, right? We have to install it. Look at this. Suggested packages, less, CPP, who is... So let's see. So the reason I'm liking having containers, and I was actually really struggling with this decision, container needs no man. Oh, right. So man ls. Oh, I get it. Hurdy har. So there you go. Man vim. All right. Man vim tutorial. Nope. Man vim. All right. All right. So what did we install today? It installed less. It installed less automatically. Yeah. Oh wait, no, it didn't. It installed more. It came with more. That's interesting. Apt install less. So we're just installing software. Let's show you how to. Let's talk about removing software though. Okay. So man ls. Oh, that's better. Which one did it use? Which ls, wait, type less, which less. See, I think if you do man, it does. I think you do. I didn't know this before. This is cool. So this is different. You see how this looks different? I think this is using less. It is. Okay. So that's interesting. Less is more, exactly. So if you install less, you get bold and this fancier interface. I didn't know that. So it will default to more if it's there. Man will default to more if it's there. If it's not, less will take over. And of course, if you use more, it'll still use less. Yeah. So like watch less. So it's not going to do anything. So there's less. And if I do more some, no, it actually, you can actually make an alias so that less is more and vice versa. I do everything to more because I've been typing more my whole life, but you might want to type less. If you want to do that, eventually you're just going to be adding an alias, more equals less, like that. And then when you do more, it actually does less. That's one of the aliases that I have in my config because I type more so much. I also type VI so much. But here's something interesting. ls-l user bin VI. That'll tell you that this is a link. We didn't cover linking. That's another thing. Dang it. We need to cover linking. I think we skipped over the file system stuff again. We have to come back and put that in there somewhere. But that's a symbolic link. How did we miss that? I need to look at that real quick. But we're technically done. So I think it's the very next thing. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. All right. So we did update, right? We did search to find what we want to install, but you can usually just find it on the internet and it'll tell you what to type. You usually don't have to do a search. Very rare you have to do a search. Usually you can find it on the internet faster. Apt install, we did a lot of that, and apt remove, that's the only thing we haven't done, and then I can end this video. So remove. So let's say that I don't need more anymore. I don't. Can I get away with that? I don't know. Is there even an apt? Can I do that? Let's try it. Apt remove more. Oh, that's not a thing that exists that can be removed. Apparently it has to be on there. I think it's part of GNU utils actually. So, but let's get rid of less. I'm fine with more. I don't need no stinking less. So it's in core utils. I think it is. Yeah, because it didn't have a remove. Yeah, GNU utils. So here we go. We've got. So now what? If I do man ls, I got more again. I'm back to more. More less. No, there's no more less. More vim. Is there a vim? Yes. No, there's not a vim. There's no more. Less vim. Wait, what? User bin less than switch file directory. Wait. Oh, it's not more. What am I doing? I'm an idiot. There we go. Man vim. So it's still there. Good old man. More is there. Yeah, sorry. You're right. And I aliased, and on top of that, thank you for catching that. Unalias whatever. I mean, the great thing is you can totally fail. You want to know what's really great? Watch this. You want to do that whole thing again? Yeah. Watch. Oh, can't do it. Docker RM boost. Yeah, baby. I'm going to go do the whole thing again. Is there a Vim here? Nope. Is there an NVI here? Nope. No one ever uninstalls less. It's just additive. Okay, but do you see that? I just threw away my whole container, all the changes I made, and now I have a brand new container I can start all over again. That is the glory of containers when it comes to learning. May you have fun with that. That's going to be the last video for today. And next video will be Monday, unfortunately. I will be doing a lot of streaming tomorrow and the next day, making my own Workspace container stuff. I'm doing a lot of shell scripting and a lot of Kubernetes work, Docker files and all that stuff. So if you just want to watch and listen to music and banter, just know that I'm me when I do that and not, streamer me. So I'm going to end the stream there. I'm gonna put a note on that, and so I think that's enough for you guys to do, wouldn't you say? That's a lot of stuff, right? That's a lot of stuff to do. Day 8, so it'll be day 9. Day 9. I keep thinking we're gonna get through more, and we just never do. Hopefully you can't hit 5 gigs this time, because it's Markdown. We haven't got to Markdown yet. No, we did Markdown. We did Markdown on day 2, day 3. Guys, we did Markdown already, right? Yeah, we did Markdown already. So Markdown is here. rvx.gg. Lang. MD. And then we're doing basic form of Markdown. Yeah. Thanks, Suzanne, for stopping by. Using Markdown to revise for an exam. Are you really? That is super cool. No, I'm not. Because my containers, I have nothing worth keeping so far, right? And again, your container is still saved. You don't need to commit it. Your container is still saved, right? Short of someone like trashing your hard drive right now, or you deleting your container file, it's still saved. Docker doesn't even have to be running for it to be saved. It got frozen to disk, like when you put your computer to sleep or something. So all that container goodness that you did tonight is all saved. In your Workspace container, yet you shouldn't. That I have him. I don't know what that means. You're talking about Docker run it .w -- rm workspace. God damn it! I hate that it's 2 dashes. I always miss that. So this is my Workspace. It's kind of hefty, but it has fish. What's the Workspace container? Is it blank just now? Oh, right. Rob was looking in the boost container, not his regular Workspace container. Right. Yeah. So, and that maybe I need to cover the prompt stuff better, right? So, see this? Yeah. Don't be me. I should do a video on that. I once took down the corporate mail server by not looking at the prompt. Another reason to use containers for your learning. That's why I'm so scared of the main Kubernetes cluster machines at work, because once you get on them, you can do all kinds of bad things. But one time I was trying to turn my laptop off, and I had secure shelled. I had remote connected to the corporate system, and I didn't notice that I was root on a remote system, just like you just didn't notice here. And I ended up shutting down the corporate server. I was like, why isn't my laptop going off? True story. I did that like my 3rd month of work as a sysadmin. I'd been a developer before that the whole time. And I was like mortified. I was totally mortified. I've told the story before a million times, but I went to my boss Ron, and I'm like, he's like, you gonna fire me? He's like, no, let's take care of it. So we called the operator, and it only went down to a init level 2, which if you don't know init levels, I don't know when we're gonna cover them. And it was Consolidated Freightways. It's a pretty big company, and so they had to call Boulder and have the operator go in there and hit the power button and bring it back up. But we actually weren't down very long because something went wrong in the system that kept it from going all the way to 0. So if you don't know about init 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we'll talk about that at some point. There are like 5 or 6 different run states for Linux that it can be running in, interactive display mode. It can be running in network mode, sharing mode, and we'll talk about this later. And then there's a really low level mode that doesn't have any interaction with it, but it's still pushing around network stuff, network connected. And then there's a level below that that's just single user. That means there's no network connection. And then there's 0, which is off. I can't even remember. I think 5 is reboot. One of them. And we'll actually go look at my init levels. I haven't played with init levels in so long. We used to live by init levels. You guys remember? We used to live by init levels. It was all init this, init that, to go back and forth to fix your devices and get them all working and everything. But so anyway, the thing that saved me is that this rather old Unix system that was running, I think it was the AIX system, went down and didn't go all the way to 0 level. So the email kept going even though we couldn't access the system, which saved my butt. And then they, and it's 6, right? Yeah. Yeah. And so, Systy, I haven't even looked at Systy and how it handles init states. I imagine it had to keep them all, right? They didn't throw out all the init states with Systy, did they? We got to close this video up. This is getting too advanced, but I'm curious to hear. Anyway, so they were able to bring the system back up, and I asked my boss, "You gonna fire me?" And he goes, "No. Why would I fire you? You ever gonna do that mistake again?" I went, "No." And he goes, "Well, if I hire somebody else, they might make the same mistake. You'll never make that mistake again, right?" And I went, "Yeah." And I went on to do great things. I love that. That was one of my best bosses. Great dude. Very helpful. And so, yeah, we killed on the shutdown. No, the VI process. Yeah, the VI will be killed on shutdown if I already did. In fact, I can actually stop it while there's something running. Watch. I wonder if I can make it really hairy. How bad can I hurt this thing? Actually, what was it? We were trying to test what will kill a system the fastest the other day, and we're like, what is the hardest thing you can do to a container? Not something to show a beginner. We'll just do echo blank done. So this is actually running. I'm going to prove it. So top should be pegged. Yeah, look at that. My streaming is going to stop too. Look at that. My streaming is going to stop. Look at those CPUs that are pegged. Look at that. They're totally pegged. Time to stop that. Control C. My fan just came on. Everything. My bitrate didn't drop though. Power plug is the fastest way. Anyway, so if that were, they could just shut down and exit. That's pretty cool. That means it does have direct internet access, which makes sense. Yeah, I got to go. I'm actually not going to be, I don't know. I think, I don't know, people. I'm thinking about hanging around and doing some more coding, but I have been coding since forever today. I kind of want to take a break from it. So let's go try to raid somebody, and then if I feel like it later tonight, I'll log in. Let somebody else have the fun. All right, let's turn this off. Hey, music. Open source Python, nice. OpenAI Gym, ooh. Good old Strager, he's awesome. Yep, got lots of fun people. Yep, Anthony writes code, writing some Python. Yeah, okay. Well, let's rate him. We haven't rated anybody in a while, so I haven't rated him in a while. Yeah. Let's do that. Might as well. Might as well. Yeah, he's a good guy. Uh-huh. Yep. Tell him hi. Tell him I'm gonna go see what all the hubbub is about outside. Saying how to copy paste without extra clicks, copies with right click. Oh, I do all the time. Yeah. Yes, I do. I do all the time. You know why? Because I do have two different buffers. I have two different buffers. You know what else? Here's another reason. Here's another reason, No Pawn. Let me tell you about this. So when you select it like that, that actually blew out my buffer. So this is a secret. So by using both of your buffers, so if you do this, then you can right click and paste and it will blow it out. See, the problem with this is, and that's actually, I'm glad you noticed that. I wish I had talked about that on the stream. I really wish I had talked about that. I forgot to talk about that. So the reason you want to do that is so if there's something here and you select it to get rid of it, then that counts as a copy. See what I mean? So then I go here. So if that was already there and I have the URL, I want to get rid of it. So I want to select it all. So triple click it and then I right click and paste. And then that puts in whatever the URL was. Where's the URL? So that's what's up. That's what's up. So like if I just want to select that one thing, right? And so then I copy that. So you can like leverage the multiple buffers. That's what's going on. And then yeah, you do raid channel, which I think we did already, right? After you write this code, click on that. I would have had to paste it, but then I can right click it. So if you sometimes want to clear out a field, sometimes it makes sense to also copy and paste it with the right click, but you still don't have to use your left hand. I will never do, keystroke. That stuff, no, just no. So sometimes it's efficient to use the 3 buffers, actually 4 buffers. If you count that, and then there's a TMUX buffer, which is also in there. Wait, what's going on? Did I hurt something? Oh, wait, I already rated. Okay, here we go. I didn't hear what he said. Oh, man, I didn't hear anything he said. Oh, well. Double raid. Did I rate him twice? All right. See you guys. All right. You want me to check my Discord? I'm still here.